Hi, everyone. This week's Parsha is Parshas Chayei. So the first wedding or the first union between man and wife that we're ever introduced to in the Torah is in the first Parsha, Parshas, obviously, between Adam and Chava. And that's a fully, Hashem facilitated the entire thing himself, right? Personally. So he created Chava, he adorned her in jewels and perfumed her and presented her personally to Adam at their wedding, at their coming together. So the first wedding that is a man-made affair, so to speak, is in this week's Parsha, and it's between Yitzchak and Rivka. And this is actually, as it describes it, it's pretty recognizable. It's very similar to modern weddings. There's a lot of, relatable things about it. Everything from the matchmaking process that Eliezer engages in the beginning, both sides meeting the parents, discussing everyone's midos, deciding if it's a good idea, up to the ceremony itself and, the pieces that go along with that. So we know that the Torah does not include anything extraneous. It only says things that are absolutely necessary down to the letter. Nothing is repeated unnecessarily and nothing is added unnecessarily. So on the topic of this wedding, it talks about it for 67 pesukim, which is a really long time. So why the attention to detail? One of the most interesting details that it includes is the ring that Yitzchak gives Rivka as part of their coming together. It says, the man took a golden ring, a half shekel in weight, and 2 bracelets of 10 shekels weight of gold for her hands. So we're going to focus on the ring and the fact that it was worth a half a shekel. So the half shekel particularly, right, our commentaries tell us that this is a precursor and a forerunner to the half shekel that in the next book of Shemos, Bnei Yisrael would have to contribute to the building of the Mishkan, which was their home away from home, their sanctuary in the desert. And it says specifically there that everybody had to contribute a half a shekel, no matter what they could afford, even if they were more wealthy. That was the baseline that everybody had to contribute. So it seems kind of funny to say a half shekel, right? A shekel is worth 20 gera. The Torah also goes out of its way to clarify that for us. So instead of saying a half a shekel, why not say 10 gera, right? It seems a little iffy to be contributing something to a holy purpose and be calling it half of anything. If anything, the Rambam says what we're used to hearing is that things used for a holy purpose or for a mitzvah should ideally be whole and complete and not in pieces. The Rambam says everything that is for the sake of God should be the best and the most beautiful. When one builds a house of prayer, it should be more beautiful than his own dwelling. When one feeds the hungry, he should feed him of the best and the sweetest of the table. Whenever one designates something for a holy purpose, he should sanctify the finest of his possessions, as it is written in Parshas Vayikra, the choicest to God. And we know in other areas of halacha as well, a blemished animal should not be brought as a karban. An esrog that is not complete cannot be used as part of the arba minim. And even when it's not a strict part of halacha, but anytime you're using an object for a mitzvah, such as making a bracha on a piece of food, ideally it should be a whole piece of food instead of a piece of it. So for example, if you're making a ha'etz on apple, it ideally should be a whole apple instead of a slice. And that's why we use whole challahs as our lechem mishnah on Shabbos. So why the focus on the fact that it's a half, knowing that it's worth 20 gera, it could have said a ring that was worth 10 gera. That at least sounds a little bit better. You're not bringing attention to the fact that it was a partial shekel. And also the number 10 is a very auspicious number in Judaism. It actually represents completeness and wholeness, as in the 10 commandments, there's 10 sfirot, and there are other examples. So the specific mention of the half shekel, both in the context of the wedding and the ring, as well as, when contributing, financially to the Mishkan, it teaches us an important aspect of what it means to come together with a partner, whether it's a spouse or coming together with Hashem to be able to do something like build the Mishkan. So Kabbalah teaches us that man and wife are really 2 aspects of the same soul. We even learn in some commentaries that Adam and Chava, or Adam before Chava was split from him, was really one being with 2 intrinsic one body with 2 intrinsic beings within it. And then it was split into the 2, which we now know of as Adam and Chava. And then they came back together as a couple in 2 distinct bodies, but returning together in a union, both emotionally, spiritually, and eventually physically. So we start off as a single soul, and then we're split, and the goal is to come back together. This also speaks to our process of teshuvah. The word teshuvah is related to the word teshev, which means to return. The idea being that we are really intrinsically one with Hashem, and when we're doing teshuvah, we're undoing some of our misdeeds, we're apologizing and promising to be better for the future. This is not a new place that we're going to be closer to Hashem. It's really what we're used to. We're just returning to the essence and the roots of what our soul really is at its most base, which is one with Hashem and one with God. So it's not a union, it's a reunion, both with Hashem and with husband and wife when they eventually meet after they've been separated into 2 bodies on this earth. So the only way to truly come together in that way is to really realize that I am a half, right? I am a partner. I am a part of what should be one whole. I have a lot to offer, and we do have to manifest all of the powers that we have within our part, along with the recognition that there is no way to truly come together with another being or another person if we're not recognizing the fact that we really need somebody else in order to create that whole. Rav Simcha Bunim, who was one of the Hasidic masters, he always taught that we need to constantly balance the paradox of two ideas, which is number one, Bishvili Nivra Ha'olam, which means for me, the world is created. We have to recognize how important we each individually are, our powers and our capabilities, balanced with the idea of Anochi Afar Ve'efer, I am but dust and ashes. So this is our constant struggle, being able to understand what our capabilities are, how much power we possess, how important and holy we each are, as well as the parts where we're lacking and where we really need to come together with other people, with our spouses, and with Hashem to be complete. Thank you. Have a wonderful Shabbos.